Planning a fishing trip shouldn't feel like a full-time job. With fishingbooker.com, you can find and book the perfect fishing trip within minutes. Fishingbooker.com connects you with trusted fishing captains around the world. Booking is fast, easy, and secure, with access to verified customer reviews, loyalty rewards, and around-the-clock customer support. Everything you need to book with confidence is in one place. So head to fishingbooker.com and start planning your next fishing adventure today.
Scree gear is more than apparel. It's a tribute to the relentless, the tireless, the true guardians of the wilderness. It's for those who seek not just a game, but a legacy. Not just a sport, but a way of life. In our gear, you're more than a hunter. You're a story, a tradition, a legend in the making. Scree is your journey, your triumph, your success. Join the working man revolution. Success awaits.
Alright, welcome back to the Survival and Basic Badass podcast with Kevin and Chuck. Today we're going to be talking about building up the survival library. You know, nobody likes, sitting down and reading. Maybe you do. You kind of like to read.
I do,
Not
but I'm a
so
nerd.
much. You're
I'm
a nerd, I like to be outside doing stuff. Of course, you're probably outside more than I am. Who knows? But anyway, there are certain things, there's a million books out there. How do you know what's the right one? Whatever. I know I've been playing this game, being prepared, building up the homestead, doing this stuff for a while, and I've bought hundreds of books. And everybody's like, oh, this one has the greatest stuff, or, everybody buys me these books. Oh, try this, try that. But I wanted to talk about, the ones that were most important to me, the ones that I found were really helpful, and really it comes down to about 5. I have like a top 10 we can talk about, but my 5 favorite books that are actually useful and you really need to kind of sort your way through. And no, I don't mean you need the books, but I'm just saying they cover all the skills that you need to get through.
Right.
And so, I don't know. Talk to me. What do you think?
Well, I know there's it's good to have a library because you don't know how long you're going to have the internet. It's easy to say I'm in a bad situation, or I'm in a situation, I've got a dead animal, but I don't know how to butcher it. I've never killed a possum before, and I don't know what to do with this thing.
Well, you know
so
what?
So you can go online and look it up.
Covered. So,
well, you can go online and look these things up, but if you don't have access to the internet and you don't have the book sitting on the bookshelf, then you're not going to be able to access that information.
Right. And that's the thing. I like having it there. I know some of these books I have here, they have chicken blood all over them and different things. And it's a sign to me that I use them, you know? I was out there with a book learning how to butcher a freaking chicken. That's
well, is that how you judge how valuable the book is? By how much chicken blood is on it?
Well, not just chicken blood.
Okay.
I mean, any kind of blood is really a good standard that, all right, this book was kind of useful,
Yeah,
Something
this is when I cut my thumb off, and I had to use this book.
That's why my K-bar is so close to my heart, Turns out cracking chestnuts with the K-bar, maybe not the smartest move. But I do keep my knife sharp, and I can tell you that. So, anyway, back to the library. So, the first book I wanted to talk about is The Self-Sufficient Life and How to Live It by John Seymour. Now, this book's a little older. It goes back to 76, but this book covers everything you'd ever want to know on laying out the homestead. And to me, it was kind of the beginning manual to being a prepper. To laying out everything, knowing what to do, knowing how to garden. And the thing is, one book that covers everything. This book, he talks about, gardening top to bottom. Every kind of plant you can think of, carrots, trees, whatever. He's going to cover, when to plant it, how to plant it, what they should be near, what plants will grow together, things like that. He's going to talk about canning and jarring. Talks about butchering, all the different, animals livestock you're going to grow. Talks about how to fence it. In his livestock, in the farmyard area, covers cows, goats, pigs, sheep, chickens, rabbits, bees. Everything out of one book, and he goes into enough detail where, you don't need to buy another book. You can say, you know what, I want to raise rabbits. You can go to the chapter on rabbits and you're going to get the information there. Mm-hmm. Obviously you want to research something, you can, get involved as much as you want.
Right.
I know early on when we did the chickens, I'd never had grown chickens, anything like that before. So, I read like 10 books on building chicken coops, or, or I maybe went to 5 websites and read 2 or 3 books. And when I did, they had all these rules, do this, do that. And, come later, now what I know, it was all not necessary. That's the bottom line.
Right.
Maybe that was the best practice and the best way you could do it, some of the different tips. Although there was a lot of contradiction from book to book.
Really?
And that was kind of like, what the hell? Who are these people and whatever? But the bottom line, things that, you need to have a window, facing the south and, all this nonsense. And I worried about all these things. They were like, talked about what size chicken wire and, how a raccoon's going to come along and reach through the chicken wire, grab a chicken and pull them out piece by piece through the chicken wire.
Uh-huh.
And you know what? 5 years, no problem. And then, of course, like a month ago, that exact thing happened. And sure enough, there were bones and little pieces through the freaking chicken wire. And I'm like, maybe that guy was right. But, the point is, some of it is just they're looking for stuff to fill up a book.
Right.
And I try not to get too caught up. This guy knows what he's doing and cuts right to it. Mm-hmm. Covers the, you need to know. And I really, find that useful. He actually talks about clearing land, draining land, irrigation, horse tractors. He talks about harvesting, food from the wild. Talks about, fishing, covers different stuff. Maybe make your own pond. It's in here.
Uh-huh.
Has dairy, how to do the cows, how to do that kind of thing. Talks about, preserving, freezing, canning, like I was saying, making bread. Has beer making. And he covers the whole thing. And he's like, look, you just grew the wheat, you did this, or, the barley, whatever.
When you were making your own beer,
yes,
were you using this? Did you refer to this book, or did you use different stuff?
Actually, you know what I did? You know how I got into the beer making was they had the commercials for the Sam Adams contest to make your own beer or something.
Uh-huh.
And they were like, go to this website, whatever. And they had a kit for like $100, but it ended up being awesome. It had the big, 5-gallon, carboy they call it, the big glass jar. Had 5-gallon buckets and malt and had everything. It's funny because we and the wife were just talking about this. It covered everything for about $110. You got this whole kit and it made like 2 batches of beer, which is a batch of beer was like 2 cases in each batch.
When you got done
basically 100 bottles, 96 bottles, whatever.
Okay.
Then, so you got twice that. So 200 beers for the $100, and you got all this equipment. It was awesome. And honestly, that Jim Cook from the commercials, he does the video, and he's just right in there going, look at this, and he's just so passionate and inspiring. You're like, oh, that's awesome, And he's like, I do this, and don't just follow the recipe like this. You should be making your own and try your own things. And every barley tastes different. All the hops are different. And you can buy different ones and you mix and match. And you just get excited about it. You know, you're like, wow.
Right. Well, you didn't make a batch this year.
Not this year. And we're talking about it. It's in the process.
Yeah.
But
well, you came up with a couple of really good ones.
Some really good beers, you know, and I really was pleased. It was funny. I had about 5 or 6 batches I went through, and the first 4 I loved every one, and I think the 5th one it was okay,
right?
You know, it was like all right, you know, and then I just kind of was like, yeah, I could just buy it if it's going to be this. It's so much work,
right?
You're so paranoid about getting everything cleaned with bleach, and because any bit of bacteria gets in there and messes up your yeast. And just funky things will grow. It'll smell. It'll taste funny. And so you're so paranoid. I got to bleach everything. I got to make it all spotless. But then, I got to rinse the bleach off everything because if there's any bleach, it's going to kill my yeast. It's going to
kill your yeast.
And mess me up.
Yeah.
And so you just, it just was like, yeah, is it really worth it?
But you had a few that were really good.
I was happier than any beer I bought. So yeah, I mean, that to me is really cool. So then I went back, I was going to buy some last year and redo it, and it was going to cost me about $75 to make a batch with the stuff. And I'm like, wait a minute. Now it's not so fun anymore, you know?
Yeah.
I'm like, because I could go buy 2 cases and I know they're going to turn out good.
Right.
You know, they're going to be what I want. So it's kind of, frustrating. Yeah. But, so yeah, I think we are going to get back into it. Money's lightened up a little bit where it's starting to flow again. And, so things are good. So yeah, they cover beer making, wine making, cider, vinegar. Talks about toilets, making saving electricity, water power, power from wind, fuel from waste, nonsense, crafts and skills. So he talks about plumbing. He talks about making rope, pottery, cotton. The bottom line, the guy's got the whole homestead covered, and that's pretty awesome, and I get excited about that kind of thing.
Right, especially something that you can have one book that covers.
And the guy's knowledgeable, and that's the thing. After you go through something, you feel like you trust him.
Right.
And then it's like, all right, you know what? I know this guy knows what he's talking about. And believe me, I did the research. I went online, just had the billion reviews where everybody's like, this is the guy.
Right.
And then I still have gone and bought a million other books, but I keep going back to this one.
And what's the name and the author?
Again, that's The Self-Sufficient Life and How to Live It. John Seymour. And I guess the subtitle is The Complete Back to Basics Guide.
All right.
And it really is. It's getting you off the grid, back to living like the Waltons. He's got it covered and can get you there. Again, it seemed like a real good foundation if you're going to be a prepper homesteader.
Right.
And that's what I was looking for. That's why it hits number 1 on my list, because it kind of covers, these are the basics, and it honestly is the book that I go back to the most for all my, property setup stuff needs,
Right.
But, so number 2, maybe you're going to tell us a little bit about it. The SAS manual. The British, it's basically like a Boy Scout handbook. And it just covers what plants are edible, how what you got to do to eat them. It's got the first aid. It's got, what to do. A lot of the stuff we cover in the, it's funny, I was looking at it. It covers a lot of the chapters or things that we do podcasts on, like survival at sea. And it was funny because I went through it and I was like, oh, what did we miss? And I was like, we did a little bit better. And I'm like, we did pretty good.
Yeah.
So I was kind of excited about that. But it goes through, all the different things. Survival at sea has, how to make a shelter, how to start a fire a million different ways, and he's got just every step. Has all the plants, all the snakes, all the spiders, all the things that you got to worry about.
And that's the sort of thing that is a handy reference book to have, because it's not a
Right.
a 15-pound book. It's something you might even want to stick in a backpack,
Right.
or a bug out
actually,
bag.
that is in my bug out bag. I mentioned it in the first episode, and we just mentioned it in the survival at sea. It's one of the things that you'd love to have, and that's in my bug out bag. Whereas the self-sufficient life is not. But again, these are core setting up the homestead.
Right, you're not going to be
core values. This is
if you're bugging out,
good.
you don't need to plant a garden for.
Now, if I'm loading up my pickup with everything and I'm going to build myself a farm in the woods with nothing, I am taking the self-sufficient life.
Right.
But yeah, if I'm running away with one bag, the SAS manual is the book that I want. So again, that's just the all-around reference, and that is the actual survival. Bear Grylls kind of thing. Guy out in the woods, you need to know what to do to live. He's got you covered in the SAS manual. Number 3 is going to be The Secret Garden of Survival. Now, this one I actually heard in a podcast. I found it from Off the Grid News. You seen that?
Yeah.
And they were actually interviewing the author, and I was so pumped up by the author, like, oh, this guy's so awesome, he's great. I got the book. It was not quite as awesome as hearing him talk about it. I was like, oh, he's great. But, I'm not a big reader, and that's the thing. But
that seems more of a book that you're going to sit down and
you gotta put
read
time
chapter
in.
by
Exactly.
chapter. That's not as much of a reference book as some
I like
of the
it
others.
to be just pictures. If it's not pictures, and that's maybe why I like the self-sufficient life.
Right.
He's got a lot of pictures. He shows you everything, takes you through it all. This one actually does have a fair amount of pictures, but to understand what the hell's going on, you got to do some reading.
Right.
Now, this one, I didn't want, the reason I put it at number 3, I don't want people to get so ahead of themselves with setting up the homestead and not consider what this guy has to talk about. To me, this is when you're laying out your homestead and picking out, the way you should set up your property.
Right.
This should be one of the first things you read, because it really gives you the ideas of, how you want to lay it out.
Right.
And that's, there's pictures and diagrams of laying it out in the self-sufficient life, but this guy gives you some more good ideas that really get you around.
And it has a lot of good ways. A lot of us, me particularly, I know you the same way, have a large forest resource next to or on your property, and this kind of has a lot of ways to use the forest to be beneficial to you.
Right. The book is actually set up to, they call it the secret survival garden. The idea is, one, your neighbors and the building inspector and everybody else doesn't even realize you're growing and doing stuff. That's kind of why it's cool. And what he does, he talks about it, I can't think of the term, it eludes me, but basically when the plants all help each other and that's how they grow.
Right, symbiotic.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's, and then when you have the beneficial plants, he has them set up in there where you have a tree, a shrub, a bush, and little plants and whatever. They all grow so close and so tight, and they actually benefit the soil and help each other, where you don't even have to go weed it. You don't have to do anything. You just let it grow because they're all protecting each other. And the Indians used to do it, back in the day with the corn and the beans, and they would all, I think the beans would wrap around the corn stalk as it grows up. But this guy has done the research and really gets into it where, everything is, going to help each other, and it's all going to grow, and it's awesome. And I don't know, just one of those things I get really excited about, because I'm like, this is easy. And the idea is, it honestly, it's a fair amount of work. I thought it would be a little bit easier, but once you put the time in and you set this up, then you can kind of set it and forget it. It's one of those things where it just goes, and you don't have to take care of it.
Even a great book to have, say, at a bug out location, because you don't necessarily have to be doing this on your own property. If it's forest, that nobody's going to notice it.
Right.
except when you go out there and you're
I'm
gathering,
hungry,
hunting
and
and
here it
gathering. This is your gathering book.
And how cool are you when you're out looking for food and there it is right in front of you,
and you know where to go and look.
And so, who was that again? That was the
Secret Garden of Survival.
Okay,
That's Rick
and the
Austin.
author, Rick Austin.
Rick Austin.
Okay, so definitely that's number 3. Number 4, I want to talk about now. This book, I know it sounds silly. Most people, not their thing, but when I find a book that really covers a topic, and to me, this is a basic survival skill that you really kind of should learn. It's a long title, The Complete Book of Butchering, Smoking, Curing, and Sausage Making. How to Harvest Your Livestock and Wild Game. And this is by Philip Hashirdi. Hashiter? One of those. Philip somebody with an H.
Spell it out.
I have to spell it out?
Yeah.
All right, we'll get into it. So, Hasheider.
Yeah, I couldn't pronounce that.
Yeah, exactly. So now I'm Mr. Cocky. So, anyway, it's funny. I ordered a how to, butcher your deer in the field book. And that was, the idea was, I think I read something about how to take 20 pounds off a deer and then to take it home and whatever in your backpack, and they have you can fold up the deer like a backpack itself and different things. I don't know if you've seen this, but anyway, so I ordered this video, and the guys they're out in the field and they just cut them right up, and they're pretty fast and easy. And you know what, I'd never done it at that point, and it was something new to learn. So this book just kind of came with the DVD set,
right?
And I was like, all right, let's check it out. This thing covers everything on butchering, and the thing is, for one animal he's got 20 pictures, and that's awesome, because so many things like the self-sufficient life, he takes you through it, and it's got some open pictures, but it's 3 pictures and they're hand drawn. And I know the first time I butchered a chicken, I was so paranoid about cutting organs and different things.
Right.
And, it says, don't cut this because it'll spill out. The sack will spill out all into everything and make a mess. And I was so paranoid. And I was just I can't really tell. Does he mean here? Does he mean there?
Right.
This butchering book, all your questions are answered. He takes you right through it. And to make the top of my list, it's almost all pictures.
Right.
So that's the bonus.
Right.
And you just go through, you're bam.
When you're a regular hunter, you get used to butchering hogs, maybe if you hunt boar, if you hunt deer.
I have a boar story after we finish this.
But there's a lot of stuff in there that reference things that you're not normally going to be hunting.
And that's, he's pretty good. He takes you through, I'll see if he's got the index here. I'll take you through it. All right. So, beef, bison, and veal, sheep, lambs, and goats, pork, poultry, and other fowl, venison, moose, elk, other big game, rabbits, small game, and fish. And then he goes on later, curing and smoking, making sausage, building a butchery business, how to set it up. It's super thorough. I don't even know if he's got the price on here. I'll tell you, $24. But you know what? Find it used on half, and get in the game. Only suckers pay retail, right? But seeing as you bring up boars or whatever, pigs, I go to a customer's house today, and I'm looking and I'm seeing what looks like the wild boars you see on TV. Some pig they're raising in the backyard. And he's eyeing me, and there's no pen, nothing. He's just standing there. And he's got to be a good 150 pounds, got the tusks and the wiry black hair and nasty looking, And I'm like, all right. So I go in the house, whatever. I don't even say anything. I don't care.
Right.
I go out. I have to grab a part out of the truck. I come back to the house, and the pig's standing in front of the gate to get in the house. And I'm like, I know they eat people. I don't know. Because they bite, and that scares me.
And they have the tusks, and beware,
and I'm like, I don't know how friendly this guy is, you know? So I kind of walk over and he starts grunting and getting angry and like, looking at me and just keeps grunting. And I'm like, oh, I think I'll go back over to the truck, make some phone calls.
Yeah.
I go over, wait 5 minutes because I got some other things to do. Come back over and he's sleeping next to the steps. And I'm like, cool. Walk by him, go inside, and I'm like, your wild pig there, went to... I don't want to mess with him. And she goes, well... You know what happens is the UPS lady comes and feeds him dog treats. And now anytime anybody comes, if you're not giving him a treat, he's pissed. And she's like, look, if you're going to make it out of my house, take this apple. And she's like, don't try and feed it to him. You'll lose your hand. Mm-hmm. She's like, but just throw it as far as you can one way and go the other way. And sure enough, I go out there and he looks at me, starts snorting.
You throw the apple?
I threw the apple and ran like hell. But, because it's awkward when you pull out the .45 and shoot him in the head.
Yeah, and then it turns out that was my pig.
Oh, that was my pet. That's Wilbur or whatever, and then it's awkward.
Yeah.
So, anyway, sorry, got off task there, but I've never had that play out before,
Yeah.
What are we at, number 4? Number 5.
Number 5.
All right, 1, self-sufficient life. 2, SAS manual. 3, secret garden, butchering, and number 5 is it's gonna be, the book is called Cabins, and I guess it's Cabins: A Guide to Building Your Own Nature Retreat by David and Jeannie Stiles. Right. Now, I have a million books on cabins. I find them fascinating. I'm always looking for new ideas and different things of how I'm going to do it. I have this book, Cabin Porn. I have Cottages or Cabins of the Southwest, and a million books. I really do, and I love them all, and I stare at them all, and whatever. But this one, the guy really takes you through. It's got floor plans to a million cabins, but probably about 15, but the idea is he shows you how to do it, and he talks about all the different things. It has building furniture, stools, chairs, Adirondack chairs, different things. He actually covers like sanitation, leach fields, where to put your outhouse. Talks about like the different tools, what axe he likes, what to buy. I ended up finding a really good deal. Different things. It was funny, I didn't know how important the right axe was. And then, I actually recommends this thing. It's like $300, and I'm like, the hell, I'm going to buy a $300 axe. And apparently
get out of here with it.
Whatever. So I started searching the name of the axe, and Husqvarna makes one, and everybody's like, oh, this other company makes it for Husqvarna. That's why it came up in my search, Mm-hmm. And they were like, it's just not finished, so they don't sand and oil the handle nice. It's still as nice as any other one you'd go buy, but it's not nice, and they don't spend the time sharpening it like they sharpen theirs when they send them out. And I'm like, shit, I can take care of a handle, linseed oil, and I can freaking sharpen an axe. So sure enough, I bought this thing $75, which sounds like a lot of money.
A lot better than $300, though.
But better than $300, and it's freaking awesome.
Yeah.
And I had Dakota, who's half my size, take a cedar tree that was probably 20 inches, 24 inches around, and he cut it down with the axe in about half hour. And I'm like, oh yeah. Now, mind you, that's not splitting it up. That's just
that's just taking it down.
Hey, I was excited. But he talks about, how to fit the logs together, how to do door jams, different types of locks you can do out of wood, and different things for the doors, and just all kinds of neat ideas that get you, going. But the thing is, if you didn't know how to build anything, you could look at this book, look at the plans, and you could pretty much put together a decent cabin and come up with some good ideas at doing it.
Right.
And that I find exciting.
Yeah. I watched a movie a few years back. I was kind of stranded in a cabin during a rainstorm.
Yeah.
And found this unmarked video down there.
Yeah.
It wasn't porn, it turns out. Not every unmarked VCR tape is
I am
porn.
a little thrown, yep.
And it was called Alone in the Wilderness. And it's about a guy that retired from the post office and moves up in the middle of nowhere, Alaska, sets up a tripod and a camera.
Does he build the hammer when he gets there?
He brings the only thing he brings with him is a couple of chisels, hammer head, the head of a hammer, and a few other small things. And he makes the handle for the hammer as his first starting point, handle for his axe.
I think I might have seen this video.
Yeah, and then from there he builds an entire cabin, and it was just amazing to watch him work and how he did it in one, 2-month period.
Right.
During Alaskan summer.
That's fascinating. I mean, people make it such a big deal.
I would definitely recommend
to make a decent
finding
shelter if you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
So tell us the title again.
Alone in the Wilderness.
Alone in the
Wilderness. And I definitely recommend looking it up. I think you can even watch it on YouTube for free.
Yeah, I think I maybe have seen the same video. So is that number 5?
That's number 5.
Number 5. All right. So those are my top 5. Again, I'm not in it going out and spending money. Maybe you go to the library and check one out. Maybe you can't find them. I don't know. But bottom line, to me, they were really useful. They're the tools that got me through it. Again, things that cover the general stuff were kind of nice. Like I said, I buy lots of books. I like to look at it, see people's different takes on things. Mr. Survival here. So, you don't become a badass unless you do a little research. So, that's the bottom line.
Mm-hmm.
I do have 5 more. I really had 10 books, but I think those are in my book essential books.
Right.
Again, whatever. You like what you like. Number 6, just a quick run through, would have been actually Rex Applegate has Kill or Get Killed. And if there was ever a book on fighting, this is it. Now, I know up in my life, I always would have told you from about 18 to about 5 years ago, I would have told you the number 1 book on fighting is Bruce Lee's Tao Jeet Kune Do.
Mm-hmm.
And that covers everything.
And that's
a
great book.
Outside the box. I love that book. It's amazing. So no hate mail. But Rex Applegate's book is so practical. And he just covers, and they use it as a training manual in the Marines. And actually when my nephew joined the Marines, I hooked him up with the book to get a head start. And somehow never got returned. I don't know anything about that. But anyway, he's got that. Maybe I gave it to him. I don't really know. I just know I don't have a copy right now, and it's a little sad spot in my heart. Number 7 would be, it's a book called Death by Gun Control, The Human Cost of Victim Disarmament by Aaron Zellman and Richard W. Stevens. They're 2 Jewish attorneys, and the book isn't really a reference like that, but they cover every aspect of why the Second Amendment is important and why you need to really be careful and protect your gun rights.
Right. Well, it's a good survival
if you want to be a
book.
prepper, that's something you need to cover.
Right.
I hate to say it. You don't think guns are important, but when we don't have them, and you know what, honestly, if you're listening to me, you probably do think guns are important. And don't worry, we'll get to episodes where we cover guns and different things. We're just getting there. Baby steps. So, number 8 is the Have More Plan. And this is a book that came out. It's written by Ed and Caroline Robinson. And I don't know, it's just really old. It came out about 60 years ago, at least. And it basically was the government's push to people being self-sufficient and taking care of themselves. And they actually, tell you how to lay out your farm on an acre and utilize livestock growing and whatever to supplement your life. It just is a nice basic how to lay out everything, logical ideas, tells you where to put your laundry room, where to have the everything and laying out everything.
Right.
If you put your livestock here, you'll walk past this every day. If you put your garden over here, the livestock won't get into it. It covers a lot of the basics when the government really wanted to hold your hand. But it turns out it's better to tell you how to take care of yourself than the government holding your hand, giving you the food stamp card. I know I just saw they're giving gas cards out now to people on welfare. and they're calling them independence cards.
Ooh, excellent.
Because you get out on the move.
Yeah.
Now, it was on Facebook, so who knows what's right. But so that's number 8.
Yeah,
Number
try not to
9.
get my reliable news from Facebook.
No, you don't go for that?
No, my wife, she her hobby is finding Facebook posts and then doing reresearch and
finding
and making
the facts.
people look stupid.
I believe that. That's why I don't reshare anything. So number 9, Ragnar's 10 Best Traps. And this is Ragnar Benson, does Ragnar's Encyclopedia, all that older, I don't know, he had a lot of the hardcore, crazy conspiracy stuff. A lot of people listening to reading the Anarchist Cookbook, those kind of books. He's right in line with a lot of that, but he's awesome. And he basically has 10 best animal traps, but he definitely talks about what to how to set a trap, cover your scents, where to place it, running water, different things to avoid smells, different things that'll come up. Covered a lot that I didn't know, and a lot of simple ideas that could really get food in your belly without, being that skilled of a hunter. You could put, things that you could read the article, and then when you're stuck in the wild, you're like, you know what, I can do this, and
Right.
you can get there.
Right.
And we're going to close it out with number 10 is the $50 and up underground house book. How to Design and Build Underground by Mike Oler. And
Yeah, that seems. I was looking through that book.
Tell me what you're
It
thinking.
definitely seems like an interesting idea.
It's an interesting idea, and he talks about how to get around permits and where to live and different things like that. But this isn't like you envision an underground house that you see on HGTV. This is your roughing it kind of guy.
Right.
But I guess you got that from your $50 and up.
Yeah.
And it's a $50 and up kind of house.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what? It's kind of cool.
Yeah.
And I was really excited when I read it. He said one of the biggest problems he ran into is bears kept coming in. He ends up shooting the bear finally after, being plagued for forever. And then, of course, being the good upstanding citizen that he is, he calls the freaking government and is like, oh, this bear, whatever, I didn't have a license or whatever. I don't know what the deal was. But he's like, look, or maybe it was just out of season or whatever.
Right.
Shot it. It came into my house while I was in there, and I, couldn't do anything. And they're all, lecturing him, fining him. They take the bear. He goes, let me pay for it to get butchered, and we'll donate it to homeless people. And they're like, no, we can't do that.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah. And they wouldn't go for any of it. And the guy gets screwed left and right. But very entertaining read.
Mm-hmm.
Very easy to read for somebody like me who wants to give it, 10 minutes of thought and not hours of thought.
Right.
And,
Right. But if you are into building an underground house, this is a book that you need to have.
This is the book. And he really is pretty clever and comes up with some awesome ideas. So, anything else to report?
No. I think we covered the basics with the book. I mean, if you're stocking your library, those are definitely some good books to have.
All right.
I like to have books on plumbing and electrical that I keep on hand.
Smart.
Because those are not my strong suits.
See, I'm all knowing. So
that's why I
the
generally
difference.
just have you come over and fix my electrical and plumbing issues.
Yeah.
When it comes to building a house, I wouldn't have a problem with that.
Yeah.
Minus those two.
But
some first aid books are good to have too on the shelf.
So, last, maybe any books you think of, maybe go to the iTunes, go over to the reviews, give us a 5-star review, and tell us what book that you think should be included in your survival library. And I think in the near future we might do another episode, probably not that near future, on fiction novels. There's a lot of cool books out there that cover a lot of cool ideas and different things and are also a little bit entertaining, so that's kind of cool. Until then, you can find out what we're up to at preppingbadass.com. Follow us on Facebook with the link. Maybe if you like what you hear, check us out on Patreon. Throw us a little support. Otherwise, have a good week, and we will talk to you next time.
Planning a fishing trip shouldn't feel like a full-time job. With fishingbooker.com, you can find and book the perfect fishing trip within minutes. Fishingbooker.com connects you with trusted fishing captains around the world. Booking is fast, easy, and secure, with access to verified customer reviews, loyalty rewards, and around-the-clock customer support. Everything you need to book with confidence is in one place. So head to fishingbooker.com and start planning your next fishing adventure today.